Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. I am back, and I'm excited to be back with part 2 of What If Deku Had Life Energy Manipulation. Most of you seem to enjoy it. I know some of you, it's not your favorite story, but others, they say that is their favorite story. But hey, nonetheless, we're going to keep on trucking. We're going to finish this series up, and I'm going to keep looking for you guys to give me any ideas if you want to, or of course, I will brainstorm my own ideas, nonetheless. As always, I hope y'all enjoy, and make sure to leave a like, a sub, a comment down below. Check the links in the description. And that is about it. And as always, hope y'all enjoy. And let's just get right into the what if. Let's get it. Izuku is finally sent back to UA. He's beginning to question this whole, well, what was this whole thing even about? They wanted to capture Overhaul, but they didn't even keep him there long enough to fulfill that idea. Izuku obviously doesn't have at least the legal way of basically trying to capture villains, but why does it even matter? Someone like Overhaul is a big deal. They should just allow him to help out. Of course, it's not that simple. In terms of legality, he can't just go around doing that. Izuku would finally arrive at UA, and he'd hear exactly what happened to Tenya Ida. Exactly what happened, well, to him, and basically what the hero killer completely mutilated him, killed him. Izuku is sitting there, and he even can feel the spirit of Tenya Ida around, being able to sense his body even in the nearby hospital that was trying to be saved at one point, but unfortunately he is passed away. Izuku begins to question himself slightly. Can UA really protect anybody? He even questions this to Aizawa as they're getting ready for their final exams, and of course, Izuku being a smart kid, he wouldn't have that much trouble, but overall, he just wants to know. He even has a conversation with Aizawa about Eri. Is she okay? And if anything is going on, and Aizawa says everything is fine. Her quirk has been kind of firing off here and there, but they've been okay. And, well, Ida, you guys couldn't have stopped it. Anything? Of course, Aizawa says no. He put himself in a situation that he couldn't get out of, and it was just him not being so heroic. He was doing something that he wasn't supposed to be doing, and it caused him to lose his life. Izuku thinks about that for a second, and even looks toward two people. He looks toward Katsuki Bakugo, and then also Shoto Todoroki, questioning those two kids right there, the two people that he's pointing at. Aizawa asks what is he talking about. He brings up the fact of what Bakugo did, and of course Aizawa has heard it in the class and heard it yesterday or days ago in the classroom, but Izuku wants to bring this to light. How can someone like him be a hero? If someone as structured as Tenya Ida, at least from what he knows, was able to flip that mindset in an instant, how could they trust Katsuki Bakugo to do something? Look at Shoto Todoroki, someone that has been tortured by his own demons. Immediately, Aizawa questions how he even knew that, and Izuku begins to say that he can tell when someone is broken into pieces, and those pieces can't be reattached so easily. Izuku continues to question every last person in Class 1A. Izuku once again looks at Aizawa and nods, saying that he understands that he may not have all the answers. He understands that not everybody in Hero Society is and will be recorded as a hero like the one and only All Might. He gets that, and he understands that. But they should definitely keep an eye on some of these people that think that being a hero, well, you can be lenient with how you act. Izuku just walks away, and that was really about it. That conversation was so odd, so brief, but at the same time, it was so true. But Aizawa stops him before he can completely leave, and he says that there is no quote-unquote final exam for him. That unfortunately, well, like how he probably assumed, he'll be doing some more work with the whole Overhaul case. Izuku shrugs his shoulders and says that's fine. If that's his quote-unquote final exam, he'll head over to the agency in no time. He'll finish up his written exam and do whatever he has to do and then head over. Aizawa agrees, and that eventually happens. But before he would leave, he would visit Eri, beginning to see how she is, see how she's feeling, and basically how everyone is treating her. They're treating her great, which Izuku is happy to hear. But quickly, Izuku, when he leaves, well, let's just say he won't be showing up at the doorstep of Night Eyes. And not that simple. Izuku would be gone, and frankly, he'd never show up there at all. Knowing that Eri has a good place for him, or a good place for herself, and that she'll be safe with the heroes, Izuku knows what he needs to do. And he knows what the heroes won't do. And that's do, well, the right thing by all or any means necessary. Izuku begins to head over to a nearby hospital, a hospital that he knew that the young man by the name of Tenya Ida would currently be at. He would approach this area that his family is currently sitting at. Just outside his door, he would raise his hand up and he'd slump to the ground and wake up once again, as if he just lost a whole life's worth of energy. And out of nowhere, Tenya Ida would gasp for air and sit straight up as if he was alive. And that's because he is. He was alive. Izuku would revive Ida and would be gone in seconds. Nobody available to even see that Izuku even did that. But that is the last thing he'll do for them. He doesn't really care anymore, and he wants to handle business how it needs to be handled, and that's with Overhaul. He would head out and head to that same alleyway that he knew Overhaul would be waiting for him. He could feel it. He knew that there were people watching him everywhere he moved, and he stood at the alleyway and spikes began running out toward him, or flowing toward him as if it was some sort of tidal wave. Izuku would jump out of the way, empowering his body to the max he can possibly do. Overhaul would begin his fights and basically wanting to kill Izuku, telling him that he'll strip everything away from him and then he'll go get Eri and make sure she suffers in his place as well after he dies. Here's the thing, Overhaul. There's one big thing you're missing. I've been dead for a little while now. What you don't understand is that you have a choice. You can either live, well, basically as a potato, or die and go to hell. Izuku would then walk toward Overhaul as spikes rush toward him, but it's as if the aura in front of him, all of this energy that's been built up from the people around him dying, or just him killing people on his own, begins to shatter every last bit of it. He walks toward Overhaul and he grabs him by the throat as energy begins to sap from his body, as if every single soul Overhaul has ever killed, annihilated, or anything begins to just be sapped and controlled by Izuku. Izuku continues to do this over and over until he was a shriveled up body made of nothingness. He would drop the clothes on the ground and Izuku would look to his left to see Night Eye and many others there waiting for him. Izuku looked at them and shook his head. He said that if they come close, they'll die. There's nothing around that. He smiles and says, "Take care of Eri. Make sure to give her a good life. Something that I'm too young to give her, and frankly, something that this pile of garbage would never have." Izuku begins to walk away, and Mirio begins to use his quirk to close the distance, but immediately he'd be shot backwards as if there was some force field revolving around Izuku, as if the power from the life that he just drained from Overhaul's body was so much that he couldn't even get close. Izuku would look toward them as he began to fade out of existence in some fact. He was disappearing and leaving somewhere else, but Izuku would look at them as this dark cloud would arrive above him and then would disappear within him once again. He would disappear as if he just vanished from nowhere, but he was gone. He was ready to start again, but not as a hero. He realized that being a hero didn't matter to him. What mattered to him was justice. What mattered to him was to follow the philosophies of All Might himself. But guess what? This way, he would actually make sure that the villains would stay down, and would stay down forever. Izuku made a home base, eventually getting a place for himself, somewhere that nobody would even track him. Of course, he was wanted for the murder of Overhaul and the murder of many others, and Izuku would just be unknown and make sure to basically cover his tracks perfectly, and he began to learn more and more about how to do this. Izuku would wait, bide his time, and slowly wait for things to arrive. His next goal was somebody that he felt needed to go down, and he's been tracking him for a while. Knowing that he's about to show up, Izuku would go meet with him. But unfortunately, when he would meet with him, many others would be there as well. But Izuku would be patient, wait, and eventually he'd be alone once again. The man, the myth and the legend himself, Stain, the hero killer, would stand right in front of Izuku, and Izuku would look at Stain. He would say that he's interesting. Kill heroes that didn't know the actual way of being a hero. Izuku looked at him and says that sometimes, as a true hero, I guess you can call him a vigilante, you need to kill those who truly are bad. Why doesn't he go after the villains that make these heroes look so bad? Why doesn't he do the hero's job? In which Stain kind of scoffs at, saying that if he eliminates all these false heroes, maybe there finally will be heroes to actually fight against villains how it should be. Izuku kind of shakes his head and begins to say that he can't allow him to kill any more heroes, especially ones that actually are good heroes. He begins to speak about Ingenium, about his younger brother, and his younger brother was seeking vengeance, and that's not very heroic. Izuku knows this. Luckily, he has a second chance. Stain looks at him confused. Second chance? What the hell are you talking about, kid? Well, what you don't understand is you don't know me. You don't understand me, you don't understand how my power works, and you don't understand, well, the predicament you're currently in. Stain begins to take one step backwards, but it's as if this course of electricity is right behind him. He can't move. He's stuck. Me and you, we're gonna have a nice talk, Mr. Stain. Me and you, we're gonna go a while. Let's see what you got. Seriously. Stain charges forward, but it begins to feel as if he was some sort of rabid, caged animal bouncing off the walls, getting stunned more and more by every single wall he runs into. Stain is stuck, trapped. Izuku refuses to let him leave, using any bit of life energy within him to keep him encapsulated and stuck right there. Don't worry, I'll take the burden of every soul, every life you took. Because, honestly, I'm the new brand of hero. I'm the new version of All Might. Stain begins to get frustrated stabbing through this barrier, but it's not able to do anything. He even gets hurt even more because of this, saying that there is no other All Might. All Might is one of a kind. All Might is what heroes should be. Don't worry, I'll be killing every last one of these villains. I'll make sure that they don't ever step face in Japan ever again. And then I'll make my way to the US. Then I'll make my way to everywhere else. Anywhere you can possibly think of, anywhere you can think there's even a villain nearby. I'm going to be there. Izuku now has Stain entirely trapped in this box, as if he's some sort of token, some sort of stuffed animal. Well, Stain, I'll be seeing you, man. I'll be seeing you in hell. I'm sure that's where I'll be going. But I'm fine with that. I've been living in hell for the last 15 years or so. But I just want you to know, whoever you were talking to initially, they're going to be getting the same treatment as well. Because I'm coming for everybody. And as long as you realize that, I hope you can rest easy. Well, try to at least. I heard it's hot down there this time of year. Izuku begins to sap every last soul out of Stain, basically destroying his body just like he did Overhaul, leaving nothing there. Just as he thinks that it's over and it's done, though he drops the body of Stain, as a knife begins flying toward him with, well, someone attached to that same knife. He dodges with ease and tells that same girl that just lunged at him that she can still make a better choice. I mean, of course, that is her choice after all. But if Izuku sees her again, there won't be redemption. Izuku basically steps one more time, and he poofs into a cloud of nothingness, and he's gone. Back at his hideout once again, and the League of Villains have just been put on notice. They've been just banded together fully, and their plans seem to be a little shaky with the idea of this person now wrapping around. The idea that this person is now around in Japan may lead to some struggle. Nonetheless, Izuku would lay low for a little bit, move around here and there, make sure that his tracks were completely sealed. Eventually, he would hear on the news about some things though, about a young boy being captured, someone his age, and he learns it to be Katsuki Bakugo, eventually leading to a press conference. He watches this press conference, and he watches as Aizawa speaks to everybody. Listen, we all know what it looks like, and we know what happened, but we promise we're working day in and day out to find this child, to find Bakugo, to make sure that he is fine, safe, and that he's what the... Just as Aizawa is speaking about this, Izuku taps into his life energy and begins to just trade places with him, as if his spirit has just swapped. And now Izuku sits right in front of everybody, Aizawa being out in the middle of the streets from right by the nearby building. Hello everybody. Nice to meet you, Izuku Midoriya. You probably haven't heard about me. I've, been around, entered UA for a little bit, made some mistakes that really weren't mistakes. Now, I want to speak about Katsuki Bakugo. Katsuki Bakugo is an interesting case. Do I think he would turn over to the villain side? I'm not so sure. Probably not. Just as he's saying this, some heroes go to grab him, but immediately this force field around him pushes them away. You might want to calm down. You heroes might be strong, but there's a lot of people in this room, and I really don't want that many bodies on my conscience. Good. Now that we're all acquainted, I want all of you guys to know that Mr. Aizawa is right. You won't have to worry about him. You won't. I think Katsuki Bakugo is interesting, maybe a little too outgoing in terms of anger, and frankly shouldn't be a hero at all. But a villain? I'm not sure if I'd call him that. I think I'd call him uneducated, an idiot, someone I really wish I could kill. But of course, I do believe in some sort of redemption. So I'm gonna go get Katsuki Bakugo for you guys. Sounds good? I'll see you in a bit. Izuku disappears out of nowhere. Everybody in a state of shock, and Aizawa runs in from the outside, wondering where Izuku would have gone. How? Immediately, they begin to talk about how, well, Izuku is already gone. He's already headed over there, and currently, he's at the doorstep of, well, let's just say, these villains. Izuku is ready for a fight and begins to knock, or is about to knock on the League of Villains door, just as he hears many other heroes approach. Their raid is about to begin as well, and Izuku got in there so stealthily that nobody even noticed him. So he waits on top of a building, waiting to see how things unfold, and the heroes execute the plan perfectly. He's shocked and surprised. Frankly, he didn't have to do anything, but there might be a reason for that. All Might. All Might must have led this charge, and as he looks, that's the case. But just as he looks, it seems that Bakugo gets covered in this black goo, and he's transported away. Now, where did he go? Someone else is at play here, huh? I can feel it. I can sense him. Immediately, Izuku leaves and begins to sit on a nearby building where the fight of a century is about to happen. All Might versus All for One. He watches as All Might begins to fight him, trying to get to them to safety. Izuku watches as these League of Villains try to grab Bakugo. He sits there watching Bakugo dodge, bob, and weave. But he knows that, well, he won't be able to get out of there. Izuku would then appear in front of Bakugo as all of the other villains charge at them, but they're stopped by the barrier that Izuku uses, and Bakugo is shocked. What the hell are you doing here? Well, honestly, I'm not sure either. Frankly, I was thinking maybe I should just kill you. But like I said, and to the news people, redemption is a thing that probably exists. So I'm gonna give you that. Mr. Katsuki Bakugo, I have to ask, why exactly did you tell me to jump off that roof that day? Why exactly did you treat me like dirt? Izuku begins to question him more and more, and Bakugo seemingly shuts down. He doesn't even know what to say, but it seems like this overwhelming force begins to compel him to tell the truth. Bakugo begins to say all of these things, everything, anything he can think of, and, well, it's all true. He feels that he basically is inferior in some way to some of these people, that he needs to overcompensate, that he needs to be the best hero possible. He needs to prove to everybody that he can, and that he's had this mindset forever, and maybe it has something to do with everybody calling him great, amazing all the time. Maybe that messed with his head. And Bakugo basically says all of these things, and Izuku eventually would sit there and look at him. Interesting. Are you sorry? Bakugo's eyes grow wide. What? I mean, of course I'm sorry. Bakugo begins to basically slightly cry, and Izuku looks at him. Interesting. Okay. Well then, Bakugo. Your friends are coming here. They're actually in the nearby city. Go say hi to them for me. I won't be back, but say that I sent my wishes, and best of thanks. Maybe this will give some clarity for myself and yourself. Goodbye, Bakugo. Izuku waves his hands waves him goodbye as if Bakugo's going to basically leave. Bakugo's confused and is about to ask how is he going to go, but out of nowhere, that same white mist that covers Izuku makes Bakugo disappear. Izuku would turn around and look toward the League of Villains. Now for you all, your big boss up there better make a choice. Send you away, or I'm gonna kill you. Right now. Izuku begins to take one step forward, and the ground itself shatters, as if Izuku is outputting insane amounts of power. He's sapped so many souls and life and all of this life energy that it seems to be overwhelming and frankly overwhelming him. Izuku's so angered with the idea of the League of Villains and everything going on, but just as he thinks about these things, they're all teleported away in a matter of seconds. Izuku looks up toward All For One and looks up toward All Might. All Might is in complete shock and is hoping that Izuku doesn't try and take the side of All For One, but that's the last thing Izuku would do. Izuku would then begin to float up toward the area and look at All For One, flick him on the face or on the mask, and All For One would try to grab him, but Izuku would just fade right through his hand, going back toward All Might. You look worn out, Symbol of Peace. It's unfortunate. You seem tired, worn out. Honestly, you might die. Don't worry, you won't. Izuku would pat him on the shoulder, and it's as if All Might gets this revolutionary strength out of nowhere. His power begins to be regained and brought back to life in a way. He bulks up once again, and it feels like his wound on his side has changed, has been stripped away, and it doesn't even exist. All Might looks up and clenches his fist toward All For One. By the way, All For One, this should be fun for you. All Might is pretty close to his prime right now. Unfortunately, I don't have enough years on my life to make him strong like his prime. But let's just say you're in for a rude awakening, and I don't even have to send you there. Good luck. Izuku would disappear, and the fight between All For One and All Might would be so lopsided, it would end in a matter of seconds. All Might handles his business and handles the fights, and a search party begins to look for Izuku over and over and over again. But he's gone. He's no longer there. They wonder where he went and when he'll even show up next. Izuku would sit and watch the news as All Might would defeat All for One, and the League of Villains would be at large, and so would himself. He'd wait and wait and wait. Wait for his opportunity, wait for his chance. And with Overhaul gone, with All for One locked away, there was only a couple left he had to deal with. And the main goal was the League of Villains and Shigaraki. That's who he had to deal with, and that's who he was going to deal with. But that will be in the finale of What If Deku Had Life Energy Manipulation. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit different than the normal What Ifs. I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. I believe tomorrow will be the finale, or I'll do something else tomorrow. I haven't really decided yet, I'll be honest. Nonetheless, or not tomorrow. Well, actually, yeah, the time of the video. Tomorrow, for sure. Nonetheless, hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope all of you have an amazing day. Later.